there going to be any more Master Chief?
Is there ever going to be more Master Chief?
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, it's not giving away anything to say that the Master Chief did stuff before Halo, and it's not giving anything away to say that his situation was at least hinted at the end of Halo 3 and obviously Origins.
Yeah, Legendary.
So we'll see the Master Chief again. In what form? Who knows?
Cool.
I keep hearing rumors that they're going to make a motion picture, and you can tell you anything about that, or?
Hollywood likes big action-packed sci-fi spectaculars. They like 3D, they like all that kind of stuff. The Halo project, as far as movies concerned, everyone knows what the history of it was. It came, it went, it came, it went. That's Hollywood, and so you are and we are always in a state of permanent readiness for when the rubber hits the road, because when these things happen, they happen very quickly. I can tell you that as of 3:40 this afternoon, there is no Halo movie in production, but honestly, knowing what we know about that industry, that's something that could change any day or any month or any year. But I've learned to not hold my breath, but I'm fairly optimistic.
I heard regarding Reach that the character you will be playing is a Spartan 3 from Beta Company. No offense, but under my impression, I thought Beta Company was eliminated during Operation Torpedo. Would you guys be willing to fill anything in on that, or is that classified?
I can tell you that Bungie obviously has a very, very firm grasp on the canon in the story because they invented it, and I can tell you that they're gonna. I think they're gonna resolve any confusions that people have, because there is a lot of stuff about Spartans and Spartan 3s that seems contradictory at first, but I think you'll probably be pretty pleased to find out how those things are resolved. But I can't talk about the specifics.
That's all I need to know.
So over the years, we've gotten more and more Halo fiction, and it's gotten stronger and better and more mediums than we could ever imagine. But back when Halo 1 came out, we had 3 books and the game, and that's what people considered the canon back then. It seems with all the new stuff coming out, people are kind of less concerned or less concise of what they really consider the real canon. A lot of old-time fans don't know what really is going on anymore.
Are you talking about the dinosaur?
Yeah. So, with all the new stuff coming out, is some clash? Like Halo Reach is now kind of seems a clash what old people thought, or what the old people thought was Spartan 3s. How do you guys resolve those issues working with Bungie and working with yourselves?
So, the others can chime in on this, but if you think about canon as a moving target, I mean, you have to, because otherwise everything that you like would have had to have been resolved 40 years ago. Stan Lee would have had to sit down and know what's going to happen to Spider-Man in this year. So the thing has got to evolve and it's got to grow, and if people are enjoying it and they want more of it, you have to accommodate that. So with that said, we try to keep things as tight as is humanly possible in canonical spaces. There are going to be occasions where we have to adjust things, and we have to stretch things to make the universe not last longer, but just be richer and truer to itself. And sometimes you do that by doing something that seems contradictory, which is changing the canon and expanding the canon and altering it deftly enough so that you don't completely alienate people, but that you have the luxury of growth. I think that I often worry that really hardcore fans, the eventual end game of canonical obsession is that everything is real life. So Spartans can't jump 8 feet because the mass of their armor wouldn't allow it, and so on. So some of it is, it's a game and it's a sci-fi universe, and so it has to be flexible and it has to have room to breathe. But we're very, very careful about it, and we have lots of very, very long meetings about dates and locations. The big things that bother people right now, I think, are things like how many Spartans are there and why are their numbers non-consecutive and stuff like that. We actually know all that stuff. That stuff's easy. We've got that stuff on paper written down. It's the looking forward where we have to make the universe bigger and more exciting that is where it gets difficult.
That's all I wanted to hear. Thanks a lot.
It kind of addressed that a little bit, doing what amounts to an origin story. There is, in fact, a funnel that you have to aim at, which is the real Halo that you know. And so all the stuff that we're developing is very tightly, not so much controlled as kind of inspired and managed by the Halo creative team. Eric keeps me informed as to where things would work or not. So stuff doesn't get invented that doesn't go into that funnel for what you know and won't contradict what you know. On the other hand, we might expand the funnel a little bit.
At the end of Halo 3, will you ever explain what or where the legendary planet is?
I would say that we're not going to set up mysteries with no resolution. And that doesn't mean that you're going to find out in a book next week or you're going to see it in a comic the week after. But we're not going to, there will be no untied threads in the Halo universe eventually. But eventually is a long time. So,
Okay. Eventually.
yes.
How high does the score go on Halo 3 ODST on Firefight?
You know, I don't know. I know that engineers these days, because of, learning from Donkey Kong and Pac-Man, try to make these things infinite. I think it probably goes high enough as a string that you couldn't break it, but I honestly don't know what the limit is. If I see any of the Halo engineers out there, I'm actually going to ask that question because now I'm curious. But there's probably a string that is, 10,000 years of gaming, so.
In the package, Phil Bellamy is a major, but he's a shipmaster a year later. Why is this?
A lot of people are talking about that. So we didn't actually identify him by name in the package, so it could be that guy. Who's to say? But as we said before, we want everything to have connective tissue and make sense eventually. But sometimes it's a long game. So that's something that we were invested in to begin with, and will be invested again in the future.
From the screenshots that I've seen, it's a lot bigger than what I've seen in the other games before, but still, are we just going to be going down just the same path as usual, or are we going to be able to go around the area a lot more?
So I can't talk about it from our perspective because Bungie develops the game, but I can paraphrase the developers. There's going to be a lot more emphasis on bigger terrain and the sort of feeling of exploration. I think they've compared it to Halo 1 in that regard in some ways. But honestly, you can see it in the screenshots. It's right there in front of you. There's a lot more terrain to explore. I can see that in the screenshots myself.